SteamWorld Quest is a story about inclusion and being true of heart. This is told eloquently through the character of Armelie, the daughter of some local grocers. Armelie wants nothing more than to be part of the Hero Guild. Her place in life and low social stature make that dream difficult and seemingly impossible. The heroine of our story doesn't know the meaning of giving up, though, and will do anything within her power to achieve her goals. Accompanying Armelie from the outset is Capernus, a magic college dropout that knows too much for her own good. Armed with her sarcastic wit and a ton of knowledge of the alchemy realm, she makes a fantastic companion for Armelie, and is able to ground her firmly in reality. Although he has a hard time admitting it, Galeo is a necessary companion on this most noble quest. He lives in his mom's basement and doesn't like to get out much, but he's dependable and trustworthy. Galeo's bird accompanies him everywhere he goes, making it easier for him to enter environments he would otherwise find too stressful. Armelie and her friends very quickly find that the heroes from the guild are in dire straits, and must rush to save them and defeat the oncoming evil. Throughout your journey, you'll meet more characters than you can count. You'll find friends where you didn't expect them, and be stabbed in the back by those from which you least expected. Never meet your heroes. Ultimately, SteamWorld Quest tells the story of inclusion and valor. Inclusion doesn't always come from where you wish it would, and the story of Armelie proves that to be true in a variety of ways. On its face, SteamWorld Quest is a turn-based role-playing game much like many you've seen before. Your characters will traverse the overworld in a side-scrolling fashion, encountering many interesting characters, both friend and foe. What makes SteamWorld Quest different from other titles in the gigantic genre is its combat system, played out entirely with punch cards. When you encounter an enemy, you can sometimes get a jump on them, striking first with your weapon, giving the player a slight advantage in the battle that will ensue. These cards grant the player a variety of skills for their characters and contain a wide array of actions. The player controls a merry band of up to 3 characters as they face off against their foes, which come in many different shapes and sizes. While simple, the fact that your characters and the near entirety of their dialogue exist outside of the actual card-based combat adds a dynamic to SteamWorld Quest that sets it above other card games. With such an excellent story and world wherein it takes place, it's incredible that the combat system works so fluidly. Upon first glance, the combat is confusing and difficult, but after a short set of tutorials and a battle or two under your belt, you'll be flying through those cards and dishing out damage in no time at all. Each character, you can have 3 on the screen during combat and control each of them, has its own deck of 8 cards. At the beginning of each round, you are dealt 6 cards, spread across each character. You'll often end up with more cards from one character than another, but should almost always be able to employ the skills of any of them when you wish to do so. The card and combat economy are based on a system of gears. Some cards require no gears to be spent, and actually generate them while performing an action. Most cards require a set amount of gears to play them. Generally speaking, the more a card costs to play, the more powerful its effect will be when you do so. It's a delicate balancing act when building a deck. Pick too many low-level cards, and you'll have more than enough gears to get you through a fight, but probably won't have the firepower needed to do so. Pick too many high-level cards, and it will be nearly impossible to earn enough credits to keep them. Players can bank or earn up to 10 gears in a fight, but they will disappear at the end of each match. Some cards simply deal damage to a foe. There are a variety of different damage types, so be sure to look at the symbol next to the numeric indicator on each card in order to ascertain what it is. As you've probably assumed, your characters and enemies have different strengths and weaknesses. Within the card system, there are various buffs and debuffs that can be applied to characters. You'll have some just by virtue of your character, but can also obtain them through different weapons, accessories, and cards. Cards can also grant healing, defense, strength increases, poison, and various other effects. Combining a buff from one character's cards with an attack from another's can cause some serious damage. Being familiar enough with your cards to anticipate what you can do with them is almost as important as the act of playing them. Each character has a special combo attack, sometimes determined by an item or weapon which they are carrying. In order to activate this special attack, a player must play 3 cards from the same character. When this is done, your character's special card will automatically activate after all of your other cards have been played. Most of the time these specials are attacks, but they can be defensive in nature or even cause some effect to take place over either your team or the enemy's. Players can change their decks as they gain new cards by entering the deck building screen found in the pause menu. While you may like your build out at the beginning, experimenting with and changing your cards is essential to the gameplay, and will make your path much more smooth the sooner you adjust. Unlike some games where you can have an infinite variety of cards and simply cycle through them all, Quest limits you to 8 cards in your hand, though you can have repeats of the cards if they are in your inventory. Once you've unlocked a card, you're granted a certain amount of them. You may put all or none of them in your hand. While it's tempting to load out your character with all of the highest level cards, keep in mind that you'll need to have the gears to play them, and equip yourself with cards that allow you to generate that currency. Players will need to regularly check in on their character's cards, as other characters get new ones. You may find that they had a card that could complement it well, where it seemed useless before. All in all, the system is versatile and complex, but easy to understand. It may take a while to strike the balance between a good loadout and a great one, but once you get the hang of it, you'll never look back. Throughout the world of Quest, you'll find statues. These statues not only save your progress when you encounter them, but also completely heals your party. As a trade-off, each time you use a statue, all the enemies around you respawn. Hedge your bets and plot your movement if you decide to use a statue, as you may encounter a horde of bad guys you just took down. You'll also encounter a merchant and a traveling cart. How this merchant manages to get their cart in the caves, on top of mountains, and in the exact place at the right time? Magic or something. At any rate, you'll be able to do a variety of things when visiting their shop. First, you can buy and sell items. This is where you stock up on healing potions, revives, items, and more. It's important to go into battles well equipped, and this is the place to make sure that happens. You can also do some work with your cards while visiting the merchant. While you can arrange your deck at any time outside of battle, the only time you purchase new cards is here. Take a look through the variety of cards and trade in some gold for some new abilities. Since the crux of SteamWorld Quest is played out through cards, consistently getting new ones is a must. You can also spend some gold along with some dropped items from enemies in order to upgrade your cards. While they do increase in stats as your character rises in level, something that happens at the end of every fight, you'll still want to take a look and see if it may be worth upgrading them for more impact. As usual, Image and Form has thoroughly outdone themselves when it comes to their sound effects and music. Each SteamWorld game features the mechanical nonsense dialogue, made clear by the written words below the characters. Aside from this small nitpick, the rest of the sound design is off the charts amazing. Worlds are made to feel more real by the dynamic music shown off within. The combination of the animation on screen with the sound effects of each attack, heal, and buff or debuff add to the game in every possible positive way. The sound design is superb, and will be stuck in your head constantly. SteamWorld Quest will be a welcome title for long RPG fans, as well as those who are new to the genre. Its superb storytelling combined with the innovative card and turn-based combat system will excite you, even if it doesn't seem up your alley at first. It can be a bit grindy at times with higher level bosses on higher difficulty settings. Still, we don't feel like doing more of what is already great is a bad thing. The only real nitpick we have here is that it would be nice to be able to change your loadout before encountering a boss that may be immune to whatever cards are in your arsenal at the time. Overall, Quest is a marvel in every way, and sets a new high bar in an already beloved genre. For more reviews, videos, previews, and more, make sure to subscribe to Handsome Phantom here on YouTube. Also check out handsomephantom.com for content every weekday.